Okay, got it dry. Paint some more. I've taped it down to the board, which is helpful. It's a good practice to get into. Sometimes it's nice to not have it taped down, and you can kind of bend and curve things in a fun way, depending on where you're trying to cajole the paint into going. But it does help to have it flat, sort of staying flat as well, taped flat. The whole attaching watercolor paper to a board is a large subject in itself, so I'm keeping it simple with just some tape on a regular no-nonsense MDF board, artist tape, some kind of masking tape that's not too high tack, I find works best. So I'm going to do a little bit stronger. I'm going to start with a mug, and I'm going to do a little bit stronger mix of the peacock blue. After I sort of start with clear in the upper left corner. So I'm going to start with just water up here. Actually, before I do that, let me be smart. You'll do this plenty of times and you'll forget, and you will relearn. It's a lot like life. I'm going to mix up a decent pool of this a little bit stronger peacock blue, which is a mixture of, as I've said, a phthalo blue. Remember, don't be afraid of phthalo blue. It can be your friend, but it can be really strong and staining. But it's such a beautiful hue and color that, yeah, it's worth. Anyway, so there's, so now I got mostly clear water. I'm not going to be too, there's a little bit of light blue in there, but that's okay. A little bit of blue pigment still left in there. So cutting in, defining the boundary with my brush. The brush has a ton of clear paint. Oh shoot, I was gonna, I'm having too much fun being silly. I'm gonna not do the handle this time, although I did start it, so it'll kind of go in there a little bit. So I'm gonna bring the color in and still have it tilted down, just similar to what I did with the apple, and then continue defining the shape. Getting that pooling water and color. And because I started this handle shape, I'm going to start finish what I started. It's kind of fun practice. Let's see if I can remember next layer to just focus on the body of the mug. You know, as I get down a little bit further, I am bringing in a little bit more stronger color, but I do want to make sure that I don't bring in a bunch of extra water, which with a big shape and a big brush like this can be kind of tricky. It does help to keep everything angled, so if I do happen to bring in too much water, it'll help it pool down in the lower corner so that I can I keep being a little bit sloppy with my brush on my edge. Whew, that's not very clean, is it? This is a fun little, if you have a clean paper towel, because it's phthalo blue, it's going to leave a little mark there, but I sort of sop up both where I went over as well as a little bit into the shape. And usually it sort of dries enough to basically hold, to kind of redefine that boundary. It's not going to be perfect. I'm trying to let go of perfect. So that's basically step 2, what I've done here. Step 1 was the light blue, and then we'll be transitioning to darker and darker and changing to this ultramarine blue. Let's have some fun with the apple. Let's see. The upper left is seems a little too light and orangey. So I'm going to start this wash with some really light red, just straight naphthol red. So light that it's really almost water. Tidy up here a little bit. I am going to try to make sure I get the blue out of there. That was a little technique I don't know that I've showed you, but I'll try to just remember that and explain. Either way, I'm going to do some really light red over the whole in the upper left corner and transition to a little bit stronger red, kind of like I'm doing in this third stage here. But because this is so light, I'm going to use the opportunity to bring in, to start with a little of the light red, and it will glaze over that that orangey color and still be sort of a light orange. And as I transition to stronger color, I will mix in a little bit stronger color, and that sort of goes against what I said about making sure you have it pre-mixed first. But you know, sometimes you just gotta break those rules. Let's see what happens here. Really light touch, really watery brush. Watery this time with a little bit of red pigment, naphthol red paint. A lot of people, well, I'm going to keep painting here. Kind of spacing out. It's probably just going too fast to really realize that I wasn't painting my shape. So I could certainly do that. In fact, heck, why not? Maybe it'll look cool. It'll look a little bit like there's some backlighting or something. So I'm going to bring in a little bit of stronger color. I want to make sure